I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, October the 29th, and we had some much needed weekly trade last week and just what the doctor ordered for this market to start turning around and giving this seasonal rise that we've been waiting on, and we knew that the market deserved, but just everything come together with help from a bunch of deliveries, nearly 200 contracts of them that helped close that basis there between your spot October live cattle and the cash market. And by the end of the week, we actually had a positive basis that we hadn't had really all month, and higher prices in your fat cattle. Your box beef cutout values are coming around big time last week to really boost everything. Slaughter's been good, demand is good, everything's good. We just got too many calves running right now, and it's flooded the market on calves, and it happens every year at this time of the year. But anyway, we sure needed what we got out of your fat cattle trade last week, and it should bode positive for this week's trade. Your board ended the week with October live cattle futures ending at 113.87, up $1.62 for the week. December ended at 118.40, up 163. October feeder cattle 154.01, down 64 cents for the week, as your spot feeder contract was just trying to align itself with the cash market as it went off the board on Friday. November 154.80 to end the week. That was up 70 cents compared to the end of the previous week. Fat cattle trade, we'd only sold about 8,000 head up until Friday morning, and that's really what helped it, is the Northern Plains guys didn't trickle so much trade that helped set the market lower like they have the last several weeks, 5 or 6 weeks of $1.11 there. But finally they kind of held to their guns, didn't let a whole lot of cattle go, and your packers were sure needing cattle by Friday, and then they come out bidding higher. The highest we'd had up until that point was $1.12, which would still been $1 higher, but they come out Friday morning bidding $1.13, not much trade there. They went to 14, of course, and then finally 115, and that's your established live price in your negotiated 5-area feeding region. $4 higher at 115. Everything in Texas at 115. Nebraska and Kansas kind of split between 114 and 115, $3 to $4 higher. Iowa settled at 113, kind of tops on their live trade, but most of the dress trade there is dressed. Most of the trade is dressed in Iowa and a lot of Nebraska there. But the Nebraska trade hit the top price of 180. That would be $6 higher than last week. So really good fat cattle movement. We expect heavy volume when we find out here early this week how many cattle actually sold. Like I said, box beef cutout value is a bunch higher. Your average trade for last week on choice cuts, $211.50. That was up $5.76 from the previous week's average trade. And selects $197.90 on the average trade for last week, up $5.46 with a choice select spread of $13.60. Slaughter pretty heavy there, 633,000. That was 8,000 larger than the previous week or the same week a year ago. Look at your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on Cattle Market Central ended the week last week at 150.94, down $3.44 compared to the end of the previous week because of these big numbers of calves moving, especially in the Northern Plains, South Dakota, Western Nebraska, all in there, Colorado, everybody's throwing in there, Northern Kansas. It's just all these calves moving at once, and then you've got a lot of calf deliveries, shipments from previously contracted, either private treaty or on a big video sale of some kind, but just too many calves moving, not enough holes to stick them in, and finally hurt the market, even though there's pretty good demand around. I think here in the next few weeks, when we get more of these Corn Belt farmer feeders completely done with harvest, we should get a little bit more demand from them, and that should help get us over the hump of the big calf supplies that are running. But cash feeders last week in your sales, $2 to $5 lower, and that's on all your calves and most of your yearling cattle too. even though your true yearlings, the few that are out there, still bring a big premium, it hurts the price on them when you got that many big calves coming, because they're feeder cattle too, and it just simply floods the market on those. The exceptions to that 2 to 5 lower were true yearling cattle away from the heavy supplies. Noted late last week we had some high yearlings out at a sale in Fairview, Illinois, just getting away from where all those calves are moving. Get down to the southern plains. You know, we had some good sales in your southern Kansas areas, and some auctions out there late in the week. And when you get away from all those heavy numbers that are moving up there where they can't get trucks to haul all the calves away, things get a lot better. Another class of cattle that sold better, either steady to higher, was your Wheaties, those lightweight, mostly steers, but weaned 4.5 to 550 pound steer calves that everybody wants, heifers too, in a lot of cases. But your demand from your wheat grazers, as this wheat is just fantastic. It's just better than it's been a long time. And with the weather really straightening up around this last week, and lots starting to get dry a little bit on your starter yards and backgrounding facilities, just good demand for those light weaned calves, but not enough of them out there. Got a bunch of good sales coming up here on Monday, your high volume sales. Oklahoma National Stockyards is expecting 10 to 11,000 head of cattle there. Be a big sale for them. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 5,500 expected. We're just going to have another week of big sales. Last week was the biggest volume of auction feeder cattle that we've seen in 9 months. We're expecting another big one, maybe just as big or not, but probably not bigger, because a lot of those big Northern Plains sales had the big run here this last week, and so they'll kind of be on an off week, even though some of them are having 2 sales a week, just making hay while the sun's shining and while there's so many cattle moving. But look at a couple of quotes late last week that kind of show you that even in some Friday sales, and especially on Saturday sales, we started seeing Friday's activities make a positive reaction in the market. But in Crawford, Nebraska, sold some high calves there. You can't get $2 a pound for a 500-pound steer anywhere, and I don't care how good he is, he just won't bring it. He may bring it by the end of this coming week here. But 53 head of fancy steers in Crawford, Nebraska, weighed 479 at $199. And then Fort Scott, Kansas on Saturday, you could definitely see the results of the better market, fat cattle market on Friday. But 58 steers in Fort Scott, Kansas on Saturday, 860 pounds at 157, and 69 head weighed 781 at 162. That's your feeder flash for Monday.